Hello and welcome. Idols. They're ubiquitous in pop culture, and I don't mean in just Japan too. I grew up in the early 2000s. I remember the boy band wars between NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys. Most brutal event that happened around that time, I'm pretty sure. But being in an idol group isn't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a cutthroat world of ravenous fans, competition from within, facing your own inner demons, and learning when to not open doors, as shown in the anime Tamon's B-side, which is why you should join me as I continue my journey to discover the perfect anime. The story starts with Utage Kinoshita, a teenage diehard fan of the idol boy band Face. With a forward slash, she lives, breathes, and worships not necessarily the band as a whole, but Tamon Fukuhara, her shining star, or Oshi if I'm gonna use proper terms. In order to earn money to further her Tamon addiction, she works as a housekeeper and one day gets a job to take care of Tamon Fukuhara. Now normally your average 16-year-old girl, when presented with her god, would probably evaporate from his sheer radiance on the spot. But Utage is a professional. She was hired for this, and if she doesn't work as his caretaker, then she won't be able to fund her Tamon-filled lifestyle. And to her credit, she doesn't really connect the real Tamon to the one on stage, since the real Tamon is a complete wreck. Tamon Fukuhara may be a beacon of hope we can all look up to when performing live. You see, the idol Tamon has been perfectly crafted, carefully calculated, to be the fullest extent of his being as an idol. The real Tamon Fukuhara is an anxious, pathetic shut-in, afraid of anything representing danger or just reality itself. Utage may be his biggest supporter and believe Tamon can accomplish anything, but Tamon doesn't believe that. The real Tamon, who's holed up in his apartment, waiting for entropy. Utage is now in a precarious situation. Tamon only really trusts her to not just be his housekeeper, but a life coach essentially. He's so pathetic that if she lets him on his own, he's just going to fossilize himself. And while Utage wouldn't mind putting that Tamon in a museum, she still wants to support her idol as much as she can. Not just as a fan, but as someone who's come to understand all of his sides. Namely, his B-side. Tamon's B-side. Hey! And so begins their life together. Tamon keeping his anxious side a secret to the whole world, and Utage keeping her role in his life a secret to everyone she knows. And hey, maybe something else will bloom between them. Except they're too stupid to recognize it. Yeah, these two are the right amount of crazy. Crazy for each other and crazy in general. I could watch them all day. Utage is a pretty strong rom-com lead, even if she is a total goofus. But then again, I've seen other rom-com leads named Kinoshita be clumsy too, and they were fine. Not always, but she really takes the idol worship to the nth degree. She has an entire book of sutras for Tamon. You know, like Buddhist sutras? Yeah, the idol worship is quite literal here. When I first started watching this, I was worried she'd turn into Kathy Bates. But that's not the case here, since she's never wavering in her duty. Her life is dedicated towards what she believes in, and slowly but surely that belief brings her closer to the reality of who Tamon is, and how she actually views him. Of course, she's still blinded by her fandom and isn't afraid to show it every chance she gets, especially to Tamon himself. But when you're down the most, it's nice to have someone cheering for you and what you're capable of. She's only this dedicated because she knows how talented and capable Tamon is. Tamon, who looks a lot like Shikamori's older brother, suffers from heavy self-doubt and anxiety, and honestly, I can't blame him. Being an idol kinda sucks. You have to be sexy and wild constantly. The lights are always on after all. You need to be able to dance and sing for several hours any given night. You have to do meet and greets, giving handshakes to fans who want to eat you without washing your hands in between. And the moment you try to have a private life, your same fans will plot your murder for betraying them. How dare a hot and single young adult man dare catch feelings for a woman other than myself? I've known Tamon for 5 minutes, but if anything were to happen to him or Face with a forward slash, I'd kill everyone in this room and then myself. Watching this anime makes me take pride in living a boring life and being painfully average. I wouldn't have it any other way. But since the general public views Tamon as being sculpted by Michelangelo, he has to take several precautions just for going outside. Like he doesn't want to appear in public without wearing a paper bag over his head, which is something he's actually accustomed to doing since he's a big fan of the Cleveland Browns. However, he's not alone. He still has his bandmates. Man, whoever once said never to meet your heroes was onto something, because sometimes they're like the band members of Face, with a and suddenly you realize Tamon might not actually be that bad. One of them is a spoiled nepo baby obsessed with taking his bandmates' fans away from them, and another one is a sadistic manipulator who's only really in it for the money, man. All of his fans are just walking wallets. With how much drama is stirred by them, I keep wondering if this is actually another installment into the Bang Dream series. But credit is due where credit is due. Utage only sees these sides of them because of her close contact with and knowing Tamon's true side. They're all subscribers to the fake it till you make it methodology, which is something I had to live by when I worked my first job, a summer camp counselor. Some days are brutally hot, kids can be real annoying sometimes, and the parents might not even want to be there. But at the end of the day, we're there to brighten people's lives, to make sure they had a good time at summer camp. The same methodology can be applied to being in an idol act, partly because, just like in the entertainment business, a lot of my coworkers back then did hard drugs. But being in a boy band isn't for the faint of heart. And look, I know that shoujo anime and idol bands might not be what my target demographic is necessarily eating up all the time, but I'd say that's nonsense, since I'm sure there's a teenage girl inside all of us. I made a mistake! Let me rephrase! Guys, let's be honest. We've all had the idea of forming a marketable boy band with our buddies before. And if you say otherwise, then have you really lived life? And for the record, I very much enjoy boy bands. I mentioned earlier I grew up in the great boy band era of the early 2000s, but like, actually go back and listen to some tunes. The Backstreet Boys and NSYNC had bangers. Other boy bands too. One Direction, 5 Seconds of Summer, The Wanted. And if I'm really gonna go dip my toes into some K-pop here, then yeah, BTS too. They've all made great music. I can't tell you the names of the individual members, but I don't need to in order to recognize the talent and dedication given for the craft. I've seen bands put together only because of their looks. It usually doesn't go well. You gotta have the performing chops to go along with it. Boy bands aren't just made up of attractive young men, they're still bands. And it's an art form. And to the record of JC Staff, this has been a wonderful adaptation. I know they've been criticized lately because of One Punch Man Season 3, but if you look at JC Staff broadly, I feel that they're the most consistent 7 out of 10 studio. Their projects tend to be decent, but not something that'll make you shit in fear or come to death. But they've still got a lot of great anime under their belt. Recently too, and this adaptation has been fantastic. It's animated exceptionally well, and for being a music anime, the music is great too. This could have just been a goofy series full of a bunch of jokes calling idols pretty boys without a personality, but I'm glad that they're delving into the psyche of not just being a performing artist, but a fan too. Since after all, we all have our own idols, whether that's the celebrities you look up to, or perhaps role models in your personal life, or your favorite waifu. All are totally valid, just like this anime. My rating for Amon's B-side is a / out of 10. Actually, no. It's a 1 million out of 10, because that's how many subscribers they've got on their channel. As it brings us one step closer to finding the perfect anime. Hey, thanks for watching. I have no plans currently to join an idol band, so be sure to sub Oshi for more Noko. Also, I am still planning on making the best anime episodes of 2025 video, but at this point it's been long enough into 2026, I really didn't want to go any further without making a video on at least one anime airing, because this winter season is stacked. And Tamon's B-side is legitimately one of my favorite anime currently airing. More anime content is coming soon, guys. I appreciate the patience with the irregular uploads lately. I've just had a very busy 2026 so far, so I'll get to the next videos when I'm able to. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.